All right, positive energy all the time. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Space Time. Danielle, Body Sculpture Challenge, More Power. April, XYZ, Rosterman. Good to see everyone. We are here. I'm on time for a change. Trying to get my schedule back right. I've been working all night and sleep until late in the day. I'm going to try to change that tomorrow if I can. September just started, and September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. We're going to talk about that. Make sure you take care of your prostate. Okay? It's something that you have to concentrate on. You have to take care of your health. I can't push that enough. You need to be taking care of your health while you're young. You need to be investigating what you're consuming. You're living in a time where you have Google. And so, whatever you're eating, you can go to Google and type in the dangers of eating. And then you can see if you're in any danger. If what you're eating is going to damage you long term, you have to make a decision. Are you willing to deal with whatever comes your way? Then you can continue eating the way you want to eat. But you have to make that decision. If this what I'm eating causes me a problem, would I rather still ate it and deal with the problem, or would I rather had not eaten it and not had this problem? Many times, people are going to get the idea of taking care of your health confused with the idea of living a long time. These are two different situations. Right? So you're not necessarily eating to live a long time. And that's what a lot of people think, that we're plant based so we can live a long time. Because living a long time involves a lot. There's robberies out here, there's random violence, there's accidents. The environment is toxic. Things are cancerous anyway. But the idea of eating healthy is the idea of avoiding unnecessary illnesses and unnecessary sicknesses and making an attempt to live a long, healthy life. It's an attempt. So you have an attempt to try to be healthy and avoid hospitals and early sicknesses. And then you have where you don't care, you're rolling the dice. That's what you have. Then, thirdly, you have the quality of life. And a lot of Americans, because of what they consume or because of their addictions, they have a bad quality of life. So you can go see grandma. Grandma could be 80, but she might not be having a good quality of life. You know, she might be in a nursing home. She might have dementia. My father, I took care of him. When I first started going live, I was taking care of my father, and he didn't have a good quality of life. He had a pretty good financial life, but he didn't have a good quality of life. My father was on high blood pressure medicine for 40 years. He probably felt kind of all right, but I remember when he first started taking high blood pressure medicine, I remember sitting in the kitchen. And I remember him taking it. And I remember him telling me and my sister, he said, uh, or maybe it was just me, but I think it was me and my sister. And I remember him said, when I take this medicine, he says, because your blood pressure been high for so long, that when this medicine regulates your blood pressure, you feel sick. You don't feel right because you've adapted to having high blood pressure. Now I know he wasn't absolutely correct. He was somewhat correct. I know he felt different, maybe a little sluggish when his blood pressure was regulated, but we all know that medicine has some effects too. And it was effects from the medicine. So today we're going to talk about prostate cancer because we live in a country that don't tell you what's going on. They don't tell you about. They don't tell you how many people have breast cancer. They don't tell you how many people have prostate cancer. They don't tell you how many people go into dialysis. We live in a system where you don't find out how many people have a certain disease or sickness until you get it. It's not till you get it that you go into this whole world of these sicknesses. I'll give you an example. I got stabbed. And when I got back to Chicago, I was in a wheelchair and I had to start going to the doctor for checkups to see how I was doing. And because I was a plant-based vegan, I never been to the doctor. I didn't get colds. I didn't get flus. I didn't get anything. So I had never been going to hospitals and doctors. That was a new experience for me. I was in my 30s. I was like, oh, I haven't been going to doctors and hospitals since I stopped eating meat. And so I'm in these hospitals or these doctor's offices and I see all these sick people I didn't know. Whoa. It's full of sick people. And if the waiting room is packed and the emergency room is packed, out of 100% of the people in the emergency room, only about 10% are there for cutting themselves or something. Like everybody else is in there for pretty much self-inflicted sicknesses. They're basically making themselves sick. So prostate cancer is one of those things that men take for granted, and it's very serious. Very serious. Let's look at some details. The prostate gland is an important part of the male reproductive system. It is located below the bladder and surrounds the urethra, the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body. Factors contributing to a healthy prostate: the way you eat. Consume plenty of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Limit processed foods, red meat, and unhealthy fats. Include foods rich in lycopene, like tomatoes. Exercise. Engage in regular physical activities such as brisk walking, swimming, or biking. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. So they want you to get 150 minutes per week. That's like, get in 20 minutes a day. If you can't, on some days, get in like 40 minutes. If you get in 40 minutes for 3 days, you got it. Smoking cessation. Smoking damages the prostate and increases the risk of prostate cancer. Alcohol moderation. Excessive alcohol consumption can contribute to prostate cancer. Regular checkups. Get regular prostate screening, especially if you have risk factors. Such as age, family history, or African American descent. Yeah, I don't know if you caught that, but they distinctly said if you're a foundational Black American, you need to get checked out. Now, that's very interesting. Studies have shown that prostate cancer in Black men has a different genetic profile. The mutations they have are different. It's more aggressive cancer, and at diagnosis, they present with a higher stage of cancer. So Black men have a higher stage of cancer. And this is what I really don't understand about Black people not using their common sense. If you look at Europeans, it would be safe to say they come from a cold climate. This is why their skin tone is like that. Just like if you look at a polar bear, you could tell a polar bear is from a colder climate. When you look at this brown skin, you could tell you come from a warmer climate. Common sense would tell you that people from a warmer climate would consume large amounts of fruit. Duh. There's nothing about your skin color that says you have to scavenge for animals to eat. Your skin color means that your ancestors lived where there was plenty of fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, herbs, and spices from a warm climate. History shows you that when Europeans started to go south and finally started to go sail around the world, they found all type of spices and sugar and tobacco in Africa and in South and Central America in warm climates and began to import them into Europe. And so common sense would tell you that you don't eat animals. One of the problems with animal consumption is that people have been far removed from getting their own food. So now, because you don't have to actually hunt these animals and you don't actually have to raise these animals, it's easier for you to get them. Yesterday, I did some research and I found out that chickens can lay 300 eggs in 1 year. And chickens can be full grown in no time. So, in terms of survival, I've seen why my grandfather and when I used to go in the South, why they had so many chickens, because at least they always had something to eat under that environment because the chickens breed quick. And so I was able to see the difference between cows and chickens and why chickens were so valuable in the South. Because if a chicken's laying 300 eggs a year and you got 50 chickens, you got enough chickens to have eggs to eat and eggs to hatch. And that means chickens can breed. That means if you didn't eat them, chickens could have 200 to 300 babies a year. So imagine if you got 50 chickens that's having, all those babies a year. If that's what you're eating for food, you wouldn't have to starve. But these are conditions for us. These are conditions that coming out of slavery. So I'm not sure why we're eating a slave diet. That's not making much sense. So I'm not sure why we're eating a slave diet. I think we could do better. And with all the hormones and all the diseases and all the shots they got to give animals, it's getting a little crazy with the bird flu and all that. And so, for sure, something has to be done about the breast cancer, the prostate cancer. The prostate cancer has to be dealt with, and we really have to work to try to prevent all of these cancers. It's time to just stop accepting these sicknesses like that. It's time to just stop accepting that and do some research. One of the things that some medical experts feel is adding to the rise in prostate cancer in men is eggs. Did you know that one egg has the same amount of cholesterol as a Big Mac, with more than 60% of the calories from fat? Consuming eggs can also increase the risk of cardiovascular disease by 19%, colon cancer by nearly 5 times. In other words, eating eggs, you're taking a chance of 5 times increase of the possibility of getting colon cancer. Diabetes, it increased the risk of diabetes up to 68%. And lethal prostate cancer by 81%, meaning that the consumption of eggs, some experts feel, increases the possibility of getting prostate cancer and a more deadlier type of prostate cancer. Several studies have found an association between high egg consumption and an increased risk of lethal or advanced prostate cancer. But the link is not considered definitive. The choline and cholesterol in egg yolks are considered the likely contributors. Health organizations recommend caution with high egg intake for men with prostate cancer concerns and emphasize that more research is needed. Evidence for the link. Choline. Egg yolks are a rich source of choline, and studies have shown a connection between high choline levels and an increased risk of aggressive prostate cancer. Population studies. Health professionals follow-up study. This long-term study found that men who ate 2.5 or more eggs per week had an 81% higher risk of developing lethal prostate cancer compared to those who consume less than a half egg per week. 2023 study. One recent study found that men who consume at least half an egg per day had a 14% higher risk of fatal prostate cancer than those who ate very few eggs. Recurrence. A study of men with existing prostate cancer found that a high intake of eggs and poultry with skin was associated with twofold increase in the risk of cancer progression or recurrence, meaning that if you're going through cancer treatment and you're eating these chicken with the skin and you're eating these eggs, it's a possibility that your cancer won't totally be healed. It'll come back. They're saying they got to do more research, and you know, and I know, wherever there's money involved, people are not allowed to say certain things because the dairy industry is a big industry, and if the facts get out about cow's milk and goat's milk and eggs and dairy and cheese, that's a lot of money. Not only is that a lot of money, that's a lot of backlash from people. People want to do what they want to do. And lots of people are not good with consequences. This is why so many people are in prison. Because a lot of people, they're not really good with consequences. They just do whatever. And when the consequences come, that's when they try to go and do all type of stuff to get out of the situation, but they don't really do much preventive. So preventive health care is frowned upon, really. And people just go out here and just do whatever. What's going on, Michael? Because we don't really push preventive health care. Prostate cancer statistics by race. Foundational Black American men are 60% more likely to develop prostate cancer in their lifetime compared to Caucasian or Hispanic men. 60%. 1 out of 7 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. 233,000 new cases of prostate cancer will be diagnosed this year. 6 out of 10 prostate cancer cases are diagnosed in men aged 65 and older, meaning that, the damage that you've been able to fight in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all that damage will be revealed when you reach my age group. I'm 67, and a lot of men my age are having serious health issues because it's like driving a car, not taking care of it, but you got it when it's new. So it really didn't matter, but you kept not taking care of it. And now the transmission is shot, the motor is shot because you didn't put fresh oil in it. You didn't take care of the working parts. You didn't keep fresh transmission fluid in it. You didn't get no oil change. You didn't never put antifreeze in it, so on and so forth. So the body is the same way. You neglect it, you neglect it, you neglect it, you neglect it. And you're living your life. And so what do you care about 50 years old or 40 years old? You don't care. You're only 19, you're only 20, you're only 30. You 40. What do you care about 50, 60? And what happens, it comes really quick. Now when it comes, it doesn't seem so distant. And you begin to see how much life you could have in front of you. And now with the prospect that that life is going to end, that's when you realize you didn't necessarily want to go out at 50, 40, 50, or 60. Maybe you should have preserved yourself so you could have made to 70 and 80 and 90. You know, at 30, you're like, whatever. But when you finally get in your 50s and start having medical problems, that's when you realize 50 is young. That's when you realize you're too young to die. But when you was 20, you didn't think 50 was young. You didn't know all your responsibilities you would have. You didn't know that you would have a baby at 35. You didn't know that your baby would only be 15 when you turn 50. You didn't think about that. You didn't think about you won't be here to help your children finish college. You didn't think about you not here for your new grandchildren, to help your children with their children. You didn't think about leaving your husband or leaving your wife. You didn't think about the financial burden of you passing away early. You took all that stuff for granted. Most of all, you didn't think about the pain. You didn't think about the fact that you could be sick a long time. So a lot of young people, they look at death like, no. You could easily suffer for 20 years, 15 years. You don't just pass away. You could suffer. You could easily be going to dialysis for 8 years. Then you got to get a new kidney. You got to go through surgery and still live, and you don't, or you got to have a bag so you can poop out of a bag that's taped to your stomach. You don't think about that. That never crossed your mind. Not for a second. I got a friend going through that right now. He never listened. I used to tell him. And he made a post on Instagram. And that was a few weeks ago, and no more posts since that time. No more posts. I don't know if he's well or not. Eventually, I'm going to call his phone. But look what it says. I know I've been distant for the last 8 months. No, I've been battling a lot of battles, from a few strokes to heart attacks. My life has been a battle to stay alive. 2 days ago, I had a heart attack. Today, I am undergoing left side coronary angiogram. Wish me luck. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty spooked. No, if I've been distanced, this is what's been going on. Please don't take it personally. And no, I'm trying to get back in the game of life. It's just been a rough road as of late. And now, what he said is very interesting. Because he says, my life has been a battle to stay alive. And his life was only a battle to stay alive when he seen he was finna lose his life. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Your battle to stay alive need to be now. Why would you wait until you're on your deathbed to battle to stay alive? Make it make some sense. Why aren't you all battling to stay alive now? He should have been battling to stay alive. He wouldn't be in that situation. He wouldn't have a colostomy bag. He's had that bag now about 3-4 years. Imagine how unsanitary that is and what you got to go through with all your waste in a bag taped to your stomach. What kind of sex life you going to have? What's going to happen with your relationships? What's your life going to be like? All because you ate whatever you wanted to eat and you did whatever you want to do. Kaka, kiki, ah. And I'm 67, and that's my brother, Mike. He younger than me. He's probably barely 60. And he's been messed up since his 50s. Messing around, eating trash. It's as simple as that. What else is it? The reason you had to get parts of your stomach cut out. Because it was full of trash. Men's health. Let's talk about prostate. 1 in 7 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. Globally, more than 1.4 million men are diagnosed with prostate cancer each year. 68% of men know someone who has had prostate cancer. 25% of men said they never discussed a prostate cancer screening with their doctor. 42% of men weren't familiar with the warning signs of prostate cancer. And why? Because you don't want to eat the type of foods that's going to heal the body. You know, we live in a world where there's so many foods we don't even know about. I was born in 1958. I went plant-based when I turned 20 in 1978. When I turn 70, that'll be 50 years. I got a little less than 2.5 years. I'll be 70 and I'll be a vegan for 50 years. And I'm not lying. When I went vegan, went plant-based, you know how much stuff I never heard of? You know how much food I never ate? And my parents were from Alabama. And we ate, string beans and black-eyed peas and cornbread and collard green stuff. But still, the amount of vegetables that we ate and nuts is a drop in the bucket. Growing up in the 60s, we never ate cauliflower. We never ate broccoli. Black families didn't eat broccoli or cauliflower. Black families didn't eat a lot of different. We didn't eat cashews. We ate peanuts. We ate walnuts. We ate pecans. We didn't eat cashews. And there's so many fruits we never ate. And there's so many vegetables we never ate. And there's so many different type of beans and peas that we never ate. We always ate the basic things. We never really drank exotic juices, and back then it would have been cheap. We drank the basic orange juice from the store. That's it. Kool-Aid. We barely drank lemonade. We drank soda, Pepsi, Coke, Pepsi, Coke. That's what we drank. Orange Crush. We had ice cream from the ice cream truck. We never drank coconut milk. I think my mother bought a coconut a couple times for us to try it. We didn't mess with coconuts. My life growing up, the only thing saved me is my parents were from Alabama, so a lot of it was, vegetables. But by the time I got to the 70s, I became plant-based in 1978. So that's 8 years of trash. So I was saved for some reason. Because by the time I got 20 years old, it was 8 years of pizzas, Italian beef sandwiches, Italian sausage sandwiches, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, White Castle, fries, soda. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, 7-Up. My parents from the South, but I'm not. I'm born in Chicago. So I wasn't eating like my parents was eating when they first came to Chicago. I adapted a metropolitan area way of eating. I didn't eat like I was from Alabama. I'm born in Chicago in 1958. So by the time you get to 1968, I'm eating these new foods that are coming out. I remember when the Whopper came out. I remember when the Big Mac first came out. When my parents first took me to McDonald's, they didn't have a Big Mac. They only had a double hamburger and a double cheeseburger. Neither did Burger King. I remember when those foods came out. I remember when Fruit Loops came out and Tricks. There was no Tricks in Fruit Loops. There was only Corn Flakes and I think maybe Cheerios, stuff like that. And it got worse and worse and worse and worse, and we was immersed into it. So we have a generation now that not only are the parents toxic, but the babies are born toxic. If you're eating a standard American diet, your babies are born with bad genes. Your babies are born sick. When did the juice and smoothie craze begin? The juice craze first started with vegetarianism in the late 70s, and you had juice bars. And so in 1978, when I became a vegan, there was only health food stores. There wasn't nothing like Whole Foods and stuff like that. And health food stores mostly had a juice bar and vitamins. There was really nothing to eat in the health food store originally. It was where people went to get vitamins. People that the older hippies that knew would go and get herbs and vitamins and tea and stuff like that. And everybody would go to the juice bar. And then slowly they started adding what they call vegetarian food. And the juice craze didn't really kick in until like the 90s. So it was like the 90s before they started, Minute Maid and them started trying to expand and make different juices because it was usually just grapefruit juice and orange juice. Even cranberry juice wasn't popular like that. The only juice that was popular was prune juice, that the elders would drink prune juice to help with their constipation and help them flush their body with all the meat and bread. Angela. So this whole juice craze now happened when my youngest daughter was born is when it kicked off. She was born in 1999. So in 1999, that's when the juice game went started going crazy. And that was at the beginning of the plant-based foods to start to come into the store, the tofu ice cream, uh, other products began to go into the stores slowly. Certain plant-based, Amy started having stuff in the frozen food section. Tofuti had like an ice cream. So all of that is like the 2000, the year 2000 basically. Is when they really started. When people like me, when the way we was living really started to break through to the mainstream. That's like 2000. So from 1978, it took all the way to the year 2000 before it began to catch on. So you look at that 78, 88, 98, 2000, almost 30 years before what we was doing caught on, because in 78 we was vegetarians. We didn't even know we was vegans till like 80, almost 88. I didn't know the word vegan wasn't even being used. Everybody thought there was a vegetarian, but we were trying to be very healthy vegetarians, so we didn't eat dairy. And vegetarians consume dairy, so people used to ask me what was I. I used to say I was a vegetarian that don't eat dairy. Later, I found out that the term for that was vegan. And because it is a way of eating, uh, the black community suffered the most because white Americans were further up economically. Therefore, they had like a different type of a lifestyle. Not all of them now, but typically. And so white Americans were eating salads. You know, black Americans didn't eat salad. Like we didn't eat salad. When I grew up, we ate like cooked greens, like collard greens. That was our greens. My mother never made a salad. So salads, Europeans was already eating salad. White Americans was already eating salad and stuff like that. And so the advent of plant-based vegan restaurants was in white communities first. So we used to have to go to the north side and go into white communities because the white community was exposed to veganism earlier because of the hippies. And the hippies was advanced. They was like real cool and real advanced, and they was into flower power and nature. So because the hippies was like white Americans, they exposed white America to vegetarianism. So they ate more raw fruits and vegetables. Black Americans ate a lot of fruits though, but that began to dissipate. So Black Americans ate a lot of fruits in the 60s. But by the time you get to the 70s, we wasn't eating as much fruit anymore. It's like the baby boomers. It's like when these black people had all these babies and they would go shopping, they would bring all these apples home and all these plums and all these grapes for the babies. But once those babies start becoming young adults and stuff, they don't have a lot of children like my parents. They're not getting married at 20 years old. They're not migrating from the South. They're already in the North. So now my generation is not eating like my parents. The stores began to change. Back in those days, they had like whole fruit and vegetable markets. You don't see that anymore. Like in Chicago on 71st and State, it was just a fruit and vegetable market. It wasn't a store. It was just these buildings with racks and racks of fruits and vegetables down for a whole block. They didn't have like stuff in the store. All they had was carrots, collard greens, mustard greens, just vegetables coming outside the store, coming outside the market. You know, the market would be small. You did your shopping outside in front of the spot. And when it closed, he would stack all that stuff back up in there and close it. Then when he opened it, he stack it back out on the sidewalk. They would build them way back so there would be room to stack it. So you still got a sidewalk, but the little place they store it is built back. It's not built all the way up to the sidewalk. And where your house would have grass at, think about a house got grass in the sidewalk. Well, this is a market. Instead of grass, it's concrete. And on that concrete, it's all vegetables all the way down for a block. And people would go and buy their vegetables. By the time you get to my generation, that's where everything went bad. That's why prostate cancer is up. That's why cancer is up, because of my generation. So this is why I'm telling people, if you're trying to change the way they eat, you need to listen to me. Because I'm ground zero on the food that's killing you. The food that's killing you is me, my generation. That is an absolute fact. I am the generation of the poison food. That is a fact. So I'm kind of blessed that by the time I got 20, I got out of the cycle that my generation created. That cycle was created for my generation. Fruit Loops and all that was made for me. Shake and bake chicken and pizza. There was nobody ate pizza. My generation started eating pizza like that. Americans wasn't eating pizza like that. Some Italians would make a pizza pie, they call it, but my generation, there was no chain pizza outlets. Think about that. When I was like 14, 15, there was no chain, there was no Domino Pizza or Pizza Hut or nothing like that. All pizza places was like individual businesses, you know, Luigi's Pizza, Arilo's Pizza, where a dude just make pizzas. There was no Pizza Hut. There was none of that. That's all new. And that's why, I'm very valuable to helping people change the way they eat, because I'm at ground zero of the toxic food. I'm the one where they changed the candy. Candy used to be made from whole ingredients. Because there was a baby boomer and there was so many babies, the supply went up, the demand went up. So now they got to try to figure out how to make a lot of candy for all these babies. So they start cutting it. Not only did they cut the candy and the food, they cut the clothes. So there's the polyester, cotton polyester. There was no cotton polyester. Everything was 100% cotton. Everything was denim. Everything was corduroy. Everything was silk, 100% silk. There was no rayon and all that. So that's the forever chemical beginning of that. You understand? So it just became more and more poison. Each cereal company did business with each channel. So on Saturday morning, every cereal company was connected to a certain cartoon series. That's a fact. So on this channel, it might got Bugs Bunny in them, and that might be Kellogg's. And then on this channel, it might be Wally Gator and McGilla Gorilla in them, and they'll be General Mills. And then this channel, like that. And they would give out little toys in the cereal. So each cartoon channel, each channel pushed a certain cartoon. And then they was plugged in with a certain cereal. This channel with this cereal, this channel with this cereal, this channel with this cereal. And they used the cartoon characters to sell the cereal. Like Sugar Bear. Can't get enough of the Sugar Chris. He was on, I forgot what channel Sugar Bear was on, but whatever channel he was on promoted Sugar Chris. Sugar Chris Post. So Post control that and that channel. So that channel, all the commercials was from Post. The other channel, all the commercials is from Kellogg's. The other channel, all the commercials is from General Mills. Think about that. They took some cartoon characters was real cartoons, like Sugar Bear was a real cartoon. And they took him and put him on the cereal. He had his own cartoon. And they took the cartoon and made the cartoon do the commercials. This is my generation. And so the better your cartoons, the more cereal you can sell. And then the candy industry got the women, because a lot of women didn't work or would be home with their children watching soap operas. So they started selling chocolate. And it was the soap operas that invented Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day was invented by soap operas to get men to buy their wives chocolate. That's a fact. It was all the TV as America went from radio to TV. Because before that, it was heavily more radio. When my mother was growing up, they was the only ones that had a TV in Birmingham. All the kids used to come to my grandmama's house to watch TV because her husband was making some pretty good money. After my grandmother and my grandfather broke up, she went and married Johnny Fluker. And Johnny Fluker had some money, so he had a TV. So my grandmama, my uncle, and my mama, they had a TV, so all the kids would come to watch TV so they could see the Lone Ranger on Saturday and Cisco Kid. So the TV started bringing in this bad food. Over time, this bad food became mainstream. And when that bad food became mainstream, then more people started eating bad. So breast cancer went up, prostate cancer went up. They were smoking cigarettes, lung cancer went up. And then they would start selling all kind of sprays, all kind of starch, all kind of just sprays. This spray, do this house spray to make the house smell better. All type of powder that women was putting on them. So women, like my mother, ended up with cancer of the uterus. So they began to produce all these products, but nobody knew if these products were healthy or not. They was just selling them. And over the years, people started eating too much meat. People didn't eat meat like that. And young Americans understand that. Americans do not eat meat like you eat meat. The way you eat meat is new. My generation started the way you all eat meat. Nobody ate meat like that. And that's why meat wasn't making so many people sick too much, because all the dinners and stuff was, 75, 80, 90% vegetables. Meat was just a small part. Meat was not the dinner. And then they start promoting this white executive. Come on, he got a big old steak and just a potato. But no regular Americans ate like that. Nobody ate a big old steak and potatoes. That was TV start promoting that. Nobody ate a big old steak and no potatoes. Nobody could afford that. Nobody would eat like that. People ate string beans and sweet potatoes and black eyed peas and lima beans, and people ate a lot of fruits and vegetables. Over time, they started eating more processed foods and meats. Then over time, that meat began, and those eggs began to affect the men. And so now you got 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer. They grandparents and stuff didn't have no prostate cancer. Them people didn't have no prostate cancer. The only thing people had was sugar, because they used to eat a lot of sugar and syrup. So they had sugar. They used to call it sugar. Now you call it diabetes. So now we have a serious problem. Prostate cancer and breast cancer is really serious, y'all. You need to take it serious. Ladies, you need to take breast cancer very, very, very serious. And men, you need to take prostate cancer very serious. It's not a joke, okay? It's not a joke. It's very serious. Very. Prostate cancer makes up roughly 37% of all newly diagnosed cancer cases in black men. Look, linking prostate cancer to a widespread industrial compound, scientists have found that exposure to a chemical that leaks from plastic cause genetic changes in animals developing prostate glands that are precursors to the most common form of cancer in males. So as they make it more and more poisons, everything's getting worse and worse and worse. And this is a 911 now. Like if you ain't really focusing on taking care of your health, man, I don't know what to tell you. You sleep at the wheel. It is so serious. It is so serious. So many men have troubles urinating at night. They got to keep going to the restroom. Their prostate is enlarged. You see? You see the normal prostate? And you see the prostate cancer? Where it's all enlarged? It's not really a joke. It's very serious. Very serious. Breast cancer too, see? See benign prostate enlargement? You see the normal prostate? You see how it ends up? You say many men associate meat and dairy with masculinity. The irony is that it causes problems down there. Yeah, they associate it with masculinity because they go what the school taught them when they was little boys. That's what the school taught you. But you see, back in the day, they didn't teach you that. Back in the 50s and the 60s, they taught you that vegetables made you strong. You see? So they changed it. They changed the concept. That wasn't the concept back in the day. Back in the day, vegetables was made you strong. You were taught if you want to be big and strong, you need to eat all your vegetables. These are facts. These are absolute facts. Meat was never considered to be a main good source of food. Meat was always considered just something to make sure you get full. Something that you would eat with your vegetables so that you would be what they call full. Meat was never healthy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like the Green Giant. Ho, 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 Green Giant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, when I was growing up, meat wasn't nothing, vegetables. Vegetables was what you had to eat, not meat. If you wanted to be strong, you had to eat your vegetables. If you wanted to be strong, you wanted to be strong like Popeye. What Popeye used to eat. As soon as he would eat that spinach, he would turn to Superman. Think about it. Bugs Bunny ate carrots. Popeye ate spinach. Popeye was the strongest man on TV. Nobody was stronger than Popeye. Brutus was a big dude. You know what I'm saying? Because back then, they knew that the strength is in the vegetables. The strength was never in meat. I say time and time again, we was little, our mother give us our vegetables and we have some chicken and we pick up the chicken. My mother used to say, put that chicken down and eat your food. She would distinguish the chicken from the food. Put that chicken down and eat your food. The food was considered what was going to make you healthy. The chicken was like filler. That's a fact. Anybody from the South will tell you. The chicken was filler. Breakfast, the strength of breakfast was oatmeal was the strength. What they feed horses. Cornflakes. You want to be big and strong? Eat your cornflakes. Not frosted flakes, cornflakes. Real corn made into cereal, like a grain, cornmeal. That was considered, when I was a little boy, that's how you got strong. You got strong from vegetables. You ain't never get strong from no meat. It's still like that. That's why so many vegans are weightlifting champions and taking over. Because one thing about strength is also longevity. How strong are you if you get stomach cancer or get some type of cancer or get prostate cancer? How strong are you? Yeah, they would always tell you, put that meat down and eat your food. The meat was just like 1/4 or 1/5 of the meal. Like your plate would be like maybe some cornbread, maybe some collard greens, maybe some black eyed peas, some sweet potatoes, and then some meat. That's a lot of food. Most of the plate is vegetables. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Most of your plate was vegetables. Back then, they couldn't even afford no whole bucket of chicken. This is before Kentucky Fried Chicken. We was a family of four. My mama only cooking one chicken. She not cooking on two chickens. She gonna cook one chicken. Me and my sister gonna get a drumstick and a wing. That's it. The chicken gone. Mommy gonna get a breast and all that, and daddy gonna get the thigh, get the big pieces because he work. He gotta go to work. And you had to get full. They made sure you got full off your vegetables. They wouldn't let you try to get full off that drumstick and that wing. You couldn't just eat that up first. You had to eat your vegetables first. Cereal was your second breakfast. How many of y'all know that? When I was growing up, cereal was the entree. The first thing you get in the morning is a grapefruit with maybe a little sugar on it or some basic. Or if you got some cornflakes, your daddy cut bananas up in it or peaches. Back in the day, the older people, they put fruit in your cornflakes. That's a fact. Your daddy would open a can of peaches and he would put peaches. And I mean, let me tell you something. Peaches are really good in cornflakes. I ain't gonna lie. I really need to make some of that now. I mean, meat don't have as much protein in it as they be promoting. Anyway, we've come to find out that that's our hype. Now we know that all protein comes from plants. No protein comes from meat. So if somebody tell me, oh yeah, protein come from cow, I'd be like, well, where did the cow get it from? Because wherever the cow get it from is the original source. Where did the pig get protein from? So now we got higher knowledge and we know that all protein comes from plants. We on a higher now. We got more knowledge now. Our knowledge is on a higher level. So now we know that all protein comes from plants. We know that now. We didn't know that back then. Anybody that's pushing meat for protein is primitive, like they're outdated. The information is outdated. That's false information now. So meat for protein is old, outdated information. It's like the earth is flat. It's outdated. That information is outdated by far. That's old. That's old, outdated information. We know the body only can take in so much protein, and plants allow you to take the protein in the right way. So now we know where all the protein is at now. So we're not, you know what I'm saying? That's outdated. That's old information. That information is outdated. That's all old now. we got we got these vegans now. Is winning everything. So that's been already disproved with all these vegans uh, winning all these strongman competitions. So that's old. Yeah, that information's been outdated. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once we looked at elephants and gorillas and giraffes, we said, oh, okay, that information is outdated. We know now that if you want to take care of yourself, if you want to have a strong prostate as a man, what you got to do. Shout out to Vegan Street. Y'all go check out Vegan Street. It's a lot of information on Vegan Street. Protect your prostate. 1 in 8 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer throughout their life, and more than 34,500 die from it in the U.S. each year. According to the American Institute for Cancer Research, men following a strictly plant-based way of eating were 35% less likely to develop prostate cancer. These foods are found to be particularly helpful for protecting your prostate. Broccoli, garlic, onion, cauliflower, green tea, tomatoes, and whole grains. Things you could do, men out there watching me. First, eat better. Avoid high-fat dairy products, spicy foods, and a lot of caffeine. Wear comfortable clothes so you can breathe down there, right? Right? Strengthen your pelvic floor muscle. Drink plenty of water. Choose herbal supplements carefully. Make cardio a priority. Manage your stress levels. Avoid saunas and hot tubs, and cut back on the salt totally. If you got to get salt, get the Celtic salt and cut back on the salt so that you'll be in better shape. Make sure you're in better shape. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Because if not, nobody else is going to take care of you. You have to take care of yourself. If you don't, nobody else is going to do it. Remember that the plant's got the healing powers in it. Beans will help you tremendously. Beans and peas. Increase your consumption of beans and peas. Get off of those eggs. Get off of eggs. Beans and peas will help you strengthen your colon. If you want to build up strength. You know, you got to watch what you eat. You also have to chew your food well. You're 100% correct. You know what I'm saying? You got to drink plenty of liquids, plenty of water. If you consume more juicy fruits, it will make you not have to drink as much water. While the exact cause of prostate cancer isn't fully understood, several factors are known to increase a man's risk. These include age, ethnicity, family history, genetic factors, diet, obesity, and lifestyle choices like smoking and alcohol consumption. Right? Will help you be healthier and take care of yourself. Right? Eat right. Get the weight off of you. Change your lifestyle choices like smoking and drinking a lot of alcohol. This is what's going to help you. This is what's going to help you be able to avoid prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is very serious. And all of these cancers will probably, they could go on the rise and they could go down. We would have to see how fast the growth of going vegan and adapting a plant-based lifestyle could make some serious changes. Prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among men. Today, there are 3.1 million prostate cancer survivors alive in the USA. Black men are 1.7 times more likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer than white men. Black men are 2.1 times more likely to die from prostate cancer than white men. And so definitely got to be some changes in the black community, but when they say more than white men, it's still too high for all men in America. Okay? It's too high for all the men. It's too high. It's too high. It's way too high for all. So don't let them fool you by saying, oh, for black men. It is too high for men in general. Way too high. In the U.S., an estimated 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, though the rate varies by race and ethnicity. For 2025, the National Cancer Institute estimates over 313,780 new cases, with roughly 1 in 5 men expected to get prostate cancer during their lifetime. Prostate cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in men, but early stage diagnosis results in an excellent 5-year survival rate of over 99%. So 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed. So they say. But what has been happening is that when we be going back and doing the research a year or two later, these sicknesses just be shooting up. So what is the statistics going to be in 2027? It's not going to be good because the food is no good. The food is no good. The food is no good. So it's up to you now to try to do something to fight the situation. What I would advise you to do is get off of those eggs. Get off of those ultra-processed food. Get off of those processed meats. Drink more liquids. And I would tell you men, order this off of Amazon, dried soursop leaves. You get 200 leaves. There's a whole lot of them in here. You can make a pot with just maybe 3 leaves. There's a lot of leaves in here. You get 2 bags of 200. And I would advise you to get you I would advise you to get you some sweetener, some natural sweetener like agave or maple syrup. And I would advise you to drink a cup of this first thing in the morning to make you some soursop tea. And if you live in warm climates like Florida, or if you're on the coast like New York and you see soursop fruit, you need to buy some of that soursop fruit and eat that, because they are saying, legend has it and word has it, that soursop is definitely powerful when it comes to cancer. I'll put it like that. I can't make no claims, but you know what I'm trying to tell you. So I would advise you to put this into your body. That's what I would advise. And I would advise you to be smart and go fruits and vegetables, herbs and spices, nuts and grains. That's what I would advise you to play hardball. I wouldn't roll the dice with my life. Play hardball against prostate cancer. Eliminate milk. Help prevent prostate cancer. Studies show dairy increases prostate cancer risk. This is what they're saying. This is what's being said. My mother used to say a hard head leads to a soft behind. So I would advise you men to really take care of your prostate, right? You got enlarged prostate, eat these foods. When you get the Brazil nuts, just eat 1 a day, okay? Get you a bag of Brazil nuts, unsalted mint, and eat one a day. Just that's all. Don't eat a lot of them. Just eat one. Definitely eat a lot of tomato paste, tomato sauce, tomatoes. That's something I'm going to be increasing this week. Oranges, if you can find some with seeds, which is almost impossible, it seems like. And definitely avocado. Avocado is something you want to add to your eating regimen. And you want to do some pelvic exercise. If you work in a chair and sit down a lot, you want to exercise. You want to exercise, right? Leafy green vegetables will help. Cruciferous vegetables, berries will help you tremendously. Bright orange fruits and vegetables. Fresh herbs and spices, nuts and seeds. Unrefined oils. Mushrooms, especially they saying the white top mushrooms are very powerful. And traditional teas will help you a lot. You want to work, always be working, trying to make your health better. You always want to be working on that. You don't ever want to just be, you want to do your best. If something go wrong, you don't want to feel like you didn't do your best. You want to do your best. Here's the top cancer-fighting foods: tomatoes, kale, quinoa, sweet potatoes, and apples. So listen, please listen, men, women, you know, get some tomato sauce in your king. You know, make them some spaghetti. Get that tomato sauce in them. Get that ketchup in them. Get that tomato paste in them. Get some tomatoes in them. Get some vegetables in your king, in your father, you know. And you know, if your father, you know, when you go by, if your father's older, take your mother some nice looking tomatoes, right? Don't tell her why. Be like, here, Ma, I dropped you out some tomatoes. You know your daddy going to end up eating them because your mama going to cook them some kind of way. So sometimes kind of sneak health on them without saying anything. Drop them off healthy gifts, but don't tell them that's why you're dropping it off. You know, drop them off some healthy gifts, but don't tell them why. You know, and eat and take care of yourself. Because, you know, that's all you got is your health. If you don't take care of your health, who's going to take care of it for you? You're the only one. You know what I'm saying? You're the only one going to take care of your health. So make sure you do it. Make sure you take care of your health, no matter what. And exercise. Get some exercise. Get some fitness. All right? Go vegan and victory.